Vivian, it's such an honor to welcome you to the Soul Collective. Thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, you are most welcome, Emily. Thank you for having me. I was very much looking forward to be here with you all, and so thank you.
I have so many questions that I would love to dive in and explore with you. One, I know that you are an Arcturian being, and I'd love to start there for anybody that's maybe not as familiar with this energy. Can you share a little bit about the Arcturians?
And yes, of course, very happy to be part of such a beautiful, enlightened, very ancient interstellar group. We are known as the Arcturians. We have evolved from the realm of Arcturus, which is located typically in the Buddhist constellation. It's just about between 37 to 40 light years from here. And Arcturians are known as one of the most advanced civilization. Think of us as master teachers. I always said we're like those master Zen teachers who come in. We get involved helping civilization to evolve. We come here to help you accelerate your own evolution. We're helping humanity to remind them of who they really are, so that you can suddenly unwind yourself from the old identity of that 3D matrix reality that casts human beings in feeling a separation from everything else, from source, from the universe, feeling a sense of isolation. But most importantly, it that disconnect within this inner power they have within yourself and a disconnect from your heart. It may sound like a cliche, but we can tell you then, as intergalactic beings, when we look at human beings, we see this radiance about you. We see that natural glow that you emanate. And oftentimes that glow or the natural light that you are emanating is overshadowed or distracted or redirected by a mood of, in our humble opinion, irrelevant distractions, whether it's, physical acquaintances of shopping or mental distraction and music and movies. And so there's so much distraction that just redirect your focal point to places. In the meantime, all of these natural faculties that you have become more dormant. Now, luckily, we have seen a significant changes on the planet, especially for the last 3 years. It's been very predominant. That's because a global event has created a global awakening. And this has been a trigger point of what we have seen more of people stepping up, asking different questions, utilizing the mental faculties for higher purposes, becoming more present, more centered, reconnecting with their own essence and to feel I want to make a difference. Now I have this calling to be of service. I want to do more. That's part of the reawakening. So Arcturians, we are well known in the multiverse for assisting a multitude of interplanetary councils. We work in connections with a multitude of delegations, like the Andromedans, for example, the Lyrans and others. And we really much there to help life to evolve. We're here to support that evolutionary process. And we can see that as the different civilization are at different stages of conscious reawakening, that we come and we guide them, really like teachers will guide their students to learn, but also to discover their own skills, to discover their own perspective, to help them graduate to the level they can reach and even goes beyond that. So just in an essence, we are those beautiful, almost ethereal beings, and we have millions of years of knowledge and experience, so to speak. So we're definitely, like the master says, allow us to show you, allow us to help you remember that part of you that has been coexisting with you, but it's been so much distraction, put like powder to your eyes. Now let's clear
Hmm.
that. Let's open the field. And let's rediscovering that all along you have been a civilization of great abilities. This has been simply suppressed. So we're with a counterbalance to that suppression, we're more into expansion and
Hmm.
very much an essence of what we do, if that makes sense.
Yes, so much that you said there. And, something that really deeply resonated was, when you shared about distractions. And it's something that I've been really thinking and attuning to much more recently is just this idea of devotion, and how much devotion is required on our spiritual path. And, there's so many of us that are really exploring how to, connect with our gifts, how to bring them forth and share them. And I feel like what you said was so key about really removing some of those distractions and perhaps this dedication to really awakening all that is already within us.
Absolutely, Emily, 100%. You have to look at depending on what generation you're part of. We look at soul groups, and some of the soul groups have come through the generational timeline, like in the 30s, for example, or the 40s. And then each generational timeline will create opportunity to learn, to implement, but at the same time, we'll have a uniqueness in what obstacle or distraction it comes. I have been working with thousands of people over the last decade, and I can tell you that no matter who we work with, we always are tuned to see what generational timeline the soul has returned. For example, I have worked multiple times people growing who grew up in Europe or was born at the time of the World War II. Well, their obstacle or their distractions will be far different if someone was born in the 1990s, for example, or the souls who have returned over the last 25 years or less. And that's a complete different distractions, more technology, AI, video games, more of what I call artificially induced social way of relating to each other to the point that it retracted their ability to face, pick up the phone, make a phone call. Why you want me to call? I'm just gonna text. I'm gonna go on Discord. I'll go to social media. And I'm like, no, there's a way to connect with others. So there is very much a distinction between those souls who have returned a different generational timeline and the distraction or the level of distraction it will have. So some will have more distracted by more insecurity because they went through the war or depression. So poverty consciousness, lack scarcity, more primal fight or flight. That will be their distraction. Where the generations, the 90s and 2000s,
Mm.
look at my own stepchildren, I can see that it's more inclined with the distraction put in place now to convince people, give out your power and your creative faculties to an artificial life that will tell you what to write, how to write it, and how to convey emotion. That's a use distraction.
Yes.
Yeah, so you can see we want to illustrate there's a multitude of variation of distractions, and that is not even counting the baseline of movies, popular singers and their concert and costumes they put on and all of this, or the lyrics of music, depending on what you are tuned to. It's like radio channel. It really depends on what is it you are tuning yourself the most to.
Mm.
And and of course, I've seen the generation for those who came in the 50s and 60s, they're like hooked on usually overall, not everyone, but overall, their obstacle, it's more if you have to listen what the authority tells you, news, what it's been conveyed to you through all these channel or these media. I mean, I look at my own family or people around me, I would tell them, unplug yourself. There's no need to watch the news 3 times a day because you're becoming completely ingrained into a reality that has been designed and decided for you.
Mm.
It really is. So you start to realize that when you get out of certain frame of realities, you start to rediscover there's a whole different reality, a whole universe within you. And that's why these fluctuation of distractions have been put in place to keep you from going everywhere but the most important universe you carry within you, with a has above so below. We heard of that phrase before, but it really is. We're who you are, and even in your body consciousness, you carry a whole mini universe that is a reflection of the other universe, and is the one frontier that has been less explored
Yes.
overall.
Yeah. So it sounds like from what you're sharing, every generation has a unique set of challenges to overcome. And something that I'm curious about is, do you believe that for each of our unique blueprints, we're encoded to be sort of activated at a specific time?
That is a powerful question. So, in a certain way, so let's explore that. What we see is that what religion background, cultural upbringing, or wherever you are on the planet, each soul will come and decide to what we call soul design. So the soul design is part of the blueprint that will create opportunities for that soul that is the most appropriate for that soul to go through a lot of journey, learning curves, awakening moment. There are going to be multitude of windows of awakening. So it's not just one point, and when you reach that, you're going to be awakened, and that's it. It's more of a multitude of windows of opportunity along the way. So we look at today and we said nothing is in vain anymore. Nothing is 3D anymore, because if you look at your journey, even with the most difficult times in your life, regardless of how your upbringing has been like, what is the background you were, where were you on the planet, where did you grow up? You have to extract to know that the moment you went back, the moment your soul entered the body, your journey began. You were already been on your journey. So part of your unique encoded of your blueprint, also to your soul design, your soul synchronicity knew that at some point you will reach some threshold or rite of passage along the way that will lead to the next level. So it's a continuous form. And that is this good news, because the human mind wants to conceptualize, the human mind wants to see and understand what awakening means. So sometimes the mind will bring a concept around, well, if I have been on my path, a seeker for, let's say, 10, 20, 30 years, then my awakening is imminent, right? Exactly. I see you nodding. Absolutely. But it's more than that, is the 10, 20, 30 years you spend, so to speak, of being a seeker, are reading, meditating, applying certain practices, following some teachers, or reading books that really been feeding. Everything has been designed to reactivate that blueprint in you along the way. So each step have been very important along the way. Each step became a cornerstone of the awakening of where you are today. So yes, it's going to bring you further along, because you'll be able to be in sync with the rhythm of changes on the planet, with a shift in the timeline, the movement into the Earth grid system, even into the solar, compared to those who still being on their path, but the mind has been their guiding point. And so
Mm.
they have a more mentalized approach to changes and evolution. Their awakening may be a little bit more like sudden, so to speak. It's simply because it will be a reversal of a thought system. So
Mm.
depending how engaged or are in how could I say that? Entwine you are with listening to your mind, well, that's going to create another form of awakening that may feel more like sudden or more like a shock to you. But if you listen really much and you bring that centeredness to your heart and you're looking at your journey, take a step back like an observer, a witness of time,
Mm.
and you look at your journey, you understand that your journey has been co-created from where you were at any given time, an opportunity, a window, an opening to take you to the next level because it's part of your blueprint. It's it's part of the design that you brought with you. I don't know if that makes any sense, but we can see it as we speak. I can see this projected image, like a holographic image of the design. It's been unfolding. And if you look at your own journey, you can feel that from wherever you've been, there's always door opportunity, crossroad, conjunction, thing happening that takes you from where you were to the point of where you are today. And sometimes people feel, am I too late? Did I waste time? Look at my age, where I am today. And we always says, well, for you, your own soul design was meant to be when you were in your 70s or 60s or 50s. Others, it will happen in 20s, right?
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up. We were chatting a little bit beforehand, talking about really all the transformation that's transpiring in the world today. And one thing that I'm really curious to ask you about is, do you ever get frustrated with the evolution of consciousness here on Earth?
I love this. This is great. You're amazing. The flow, it's just beautiful here. I don't know if you feel it, but I
I
can feel it.
do.
It's That's why I call oscillating with grace between the earth and the stars. That's exactly what we're doing.
Hmm.
It's practical and yet inspirational and elevating through the consciousness. Sometimes I tell my intergalactic group, I said, I have great love and respect for the human race. They've gone through such a tremendous amount of deceitful, manipulative history. And that's what frustrates me the most. So I want to set the record straight. My level sometimes of frustration or the experience of frustration comes mostly 90% of it, if I want to quantify it, come from the energy behind that deceitful, oppressive, manipulative false grid of reality. That's where my frustration really emanates from. And sometimes I will feel like I am expressing the human emotion of impatience and frustration. So I want to bring those energy in the proper field. And then my other level of sometimes impatience, so to speak, will be like, human beings, don't you feel? Don't you see? Like, come on, just realize, go in your heart. Why are you so trying to listen to your mind all the time? Why always being so much paralyzed and fear? Fear is just an experience, just like joy and impatience and frustration or gratitude. Those are expressions within the human field. So fear has been introduced a long time ago to overshadow your capacity for higher perspective, co-creation, really stepping back into who you are, opening all of your channel within you, all of your centers, and utilizing, for example, your entire nervous systems has universal gateways. Instead of utilizing it to overwork your body and increase the cortisol level and stress level in your body. See, that depend, you can utilize the same function from different purpose. So I would go like, deep breath. With everything that we're teaching, sharing, we've been there for eons. We've been, you know, uh, part of the earth evolution for eons. At this point, is it possible for you to see from the eyes of your heart? Can you relate to other life? why are you not taking care of animals? Why disposing them like object? Why imposing so much suffering? Because suffering has been imposed upon you.
Mm,
And that's where the paradigm needs to break.
mm,
That's the paradigm that needs to be changed. It's no longer recreating unconscious or conscious suffering or projection into another lifetime that you deem inferior. You just repeat the same pattern that those behind the scenes are co-creating for human race. So that's where the urgency, I would say, that more to more urgency to recognize it is time to for all of you to step up in your light and says, I no longer going to abide by it, because that happens now in this very moment. The planet shift in a blink of an eye. It's the breath, it's the heartbeat. In a
mm,
heartbeat we can shift the planet like this. So this is why we're applying ourselves to utilize a very toned down language that is still very empowered,
mm,
still very positive, filled with high frequencies, and yet it's a very simple language you can all relate to. It's no longer need to really stop completely and release yourself from recreating same paradigm of oppression, suffering, pushing down, disregarding life, utilizing the earth as a big landfill for garbage, and then you can buy more goods at the store. You don't want it, you dispose, go buy, dispose, go buy. That kind of distraction, that kind of disconnect,
mm,
it's more becoming an urgency that we're going to bring. So to answer the question, so my frustration is really much beyond this fall matrix has been put in place that I can't stand. And I tell my team all the time, and they said, we know, dear, this is exactly what we're here for.
mm,
So, and then I bring myself back into my heart, I breathe, and then I elevate and let my avatar, Arcturian avatar self to come in, and I see a much bigger design. But
mm,
being boots on the ground with all of you here, I'm like, okay, this old, outdated 3D matrix reality needs to be transmuted. It's done. This is no longer the reality. It's been a reality. You feel a difference in energy. People think it's the reality, but it's simply a reality,
mm,
another layer. Mm-mm. So the urgency is, let's come back to your heart. Let's come back to embracing who you are. Cultivate that desire to rediscovering who you are, and let go of what's on social media today. What's the next latest YouTube video? Who's going to talk about the Earth or the galactic history? It's irrelevant right now.
Vivian,
Here,
I love what you're sharing so
thank
much.
you.
And what I'm receiving from what you're saying is the individual responsibility for our own ascension, our own awakening. We each play, I feel, a pivotal role in the collective and where we're headed. And it is the little things, the little decisions that we make on a daily basis that can make a profound, contribution to our own sense of um, connection and also our connection to the whole. We are, I would say, a fractal of the divine, of source consciousness. And one thing that I'm curious about, because I feel like there is this maybe sentiment that um, that something is going to happen, some pivotal event like outside of us, of disclosure of some sort or some type of event. And I for me personally, what resonates is just really the internal responsibility, regardless of, kind of what's happening externally. But I'm curious if you have, tapped into the energy of 2024 and, what you're feeling is on the horizon for us as we go through this transformation.
Beautiful observation, and absolutely in the flow, in the sense that personal responsibility allows you to finally re-embrace the pathway of the self-master. And can you imagine even just half the population of the planet? And it really doesn't matter where you grew up or what religion belief system your ancestors adhere by. That's all good. But if half the planet step in their light from one hemisphere to the next, then that transformation that we've been talking about as an event becomes a new reality that is being activated now. So I just want to go back to that point because that was very important. So self-responsibility dictate how you're going to shift the fabric of the movement of evolution. Meaning, as you want to be of service, you want to be more helpful, you want to help others, then becoming a pioneer in shifting the direction of living. Every day, live your life in the authenticity of who you are. If you see a person needs help, let's reach out. Oh, this person is a stranger. It's no longer relevant. Ask, sorry, I see you feel like there's something off. Is there something I can help you with? Be attentive, listen, be present. Stop being in a hurry. I need to put gas, put money in, and go back on the road because I'm such in a hurry. Unwind yourself from this. Pay attention everywhere you go. You know, I always tell when I do interview, I always says, wherever I drive, where I go to, I pay attention of my surroundings. So that's one thing about that point you make, which is absolutely pivotal leading up to 2024. So let's go back to 2023 in a moment. 2023 has been a year of great implementation, meaning that it's like a garden. This is where a lot of weeds, a lot of reconstruction of the garden has been made, new seeds been planted, others been rearranged, restructures, others been pushed out of the way because it's no longer valid. There's a lot of that regarding redone, restructuring. I use the analogy of a garden so we can have the image, right? So many of those seeds planted have been designed for this year, and many are designed for 2024, because 2023 and 2024 is what we classify as two binary years, meaning that they have a direct impact with each other. To you, it's in the future, but to us, it's already happening. It's already there because we're looking at the potential of how timelines evolve. And so now we're leading into 2024. One of the things that we saw is that many of those seeds will germinate, blossom, so to speak. So, for example, people have been called to go more to sacred site. I myself was in Egypt, many sacred site. I did. I traveled more a while this year, including England. We went to talk to sacred guardians. We work a lot with the grid. So many people have done that in their own ways. Many people have felt a calling to connect more with the planet, or they're in the galactic families. So there's been a lot of different calling that either groups or individuals have received. This is what we call the seeding. That's part of the image of the garden. So 2024, many of those seeds or activation will come into place as a potential. There's nothing to do with prediction here, it's potential. And what we see is that there are new grid systems coming through the planet. So what it means is that it's going to feel that we're moving into a more acceleration. There's an acceleration in terms of our evolution, in terms of supporting all of us, especially to those who've done the work internally, connecting, cultivating, living in authenticity to your heart as opposed to your filters, as opposed to the mind, as opposed to fear. It's the cultivation of your authenticity. And then there's going to be an opportunity to really shift more naturally, more organically, do with AI, but more organically into a higher frequencies. So these new grid system are coming in, which is going to help to shift the body template. So the human template is shifting as well to become more clear conduit, holding more light, higher frequencies, shifting the way the human body has been envisioned, believed to be, and how it's been used. The image of it's heavy carbon base, and if something is off or distorted, then I'm going to see a doctor, put the label on me. I accept the label. I tell my body subconsciously, hey, the doctor said I have this label. Please implement that label. So we're shifting out of that old paradigm, and we're starting to rediscovering our own faculties more and more. But definitely 2024, I can already see if I look in the timeline energically, and I see another doorway, which is called 2025. So we are really at that conjunction. Think of it, you've been on that road for a long time, you follow the map, you have some detour, frustrated back on the road, but then you really got in and you drove and you feel like, whoa, I've gained so much momentum, which is right. You've gained a lot of momentum. Now you're coming at that crossroad that's finally is shifting you closer and faster to your destination. So that's an image that we're giving you, that there is this quality of acceleration where you're going to feel that how we co-create. It's going to be really much very clear manifestation. So that centeredness that we talked about, that sacred bridge to the mind through the gateway of the heart, opening the intelligent field of the heart, as we call it, it's going to be really important to be very cohesive, centered presence, and grounded in loving presence to understand the level of higher quality of your co-creation, because the field is going to be much more fertile to bring your co-creation into tangible manifestation. And yet there's a lot of shift in the structure because of the new grids coming in. So we're finally coming into that point where 2024, 2025, and even leading up, and we're pushing in a timeline here, 2026, we are in that corridor, so to speak. If that makes sense. I don't know if you felt it, but the energy is palpable.
I definitely feel that as you're sharing, and it's exciting to connect with the energy and the frequencies of these times. Vivian, one question that I wanted to ask you about in the beginning, you shared about Arcturians, and I feel like there's this increase in an interest and passion around our galactic origins, perhaps what star system you feel a resonance with. Do you feel like that's important to our mission here on Earth? And a second part of that is, do you feel that all of us can connect with this higher consciousness?
I'm going to go with part two right away because that's an easy one. The answer is yes, there's no exception. We all have the capacity and the ability to communicate with different cosmic intelligence. Why? It's because you are part of the multiverse. It's naturally part of you. Look at just the DNA genetic baseline, or the makeup of the DNA, the human DNA, carries so many encoding of interstellar influences, markers, codes, knowledge. It's part of you. This is part of what we call the reversal of a huge thought system. When Earth humans overall for generation, I simply identify to what is genetically they can verify to their ancestors or bloodline or genetic line. This is who I am. My mother was Irish. My dad is Scottish. I have, roots in America, or I have roots in India. This is who I am. Well, it's an embodiment of an identity from a 3D perspective, from an Earth human perspective. But in reality, at a soul level, So many souls have come from everywhere in the multiverse. So reconnecting in a more conscious, higher conscious and higher intelligence way with that part of you, it is as essential as understanding your roots. So you gain a better understanding and appreciation for who you are. And at that point of where we are on the consciousness level and energetically on the planet, it is the time now the field is open for the star seed to finally being able to express what they have known in their heart and their being for all their lives. So again, looking at generational souls who've come in certain timelines, well, even in the 70s, star seed, oh, it was all love and disco and stuff like that. Okay, good. But it was very 3D. There was no like, there was the introduction idea or a concept between the 70s and the 80s with all the sci-fi movies that came. Um, Star Trek came in the 60s and then took Revolution over, and then Star Wars came 70s, 80s was huge, Close Encounter of the Third Kind. All of these really important sci-fi movies or series came to start to reintroduce an idea to the planet and in a collective consciousness in their own way to talk about history. Now, Star Wars talks about a lot of the galactic history with the wars, the conflict, the faction, the dominion, all of it. Star Trek speak of the idea that there's a federation of planet that from the inception on open up the field to accept a higher form of intelligence as equal around the same table so we can negotiate and talks about different protocols and so forth. So you can tell the purpose of each movie. Did you know that A Close Encounter of the Third Kind, directed by Steven Spielberg, is based on real events? It's a true story.
Wow. Yeah.
But it's disguised as a sci-fi movie, and people are like, wow, the special effect was spectacular where the mothership comes and the music and the being come and you're just on the edge of your seat. Well, if you've been called to go see those movies, what do you think it's doing? You're reactivating ancient memories within you.
Mm.
Something else become active. So now today, we are in that field where disclosure becomes much more organic and natural because it followed the pace of the earth evolution. It followed the pace of the conscious evolution. And we are now at a point where it is no longer a taboo to talk about starseeds or hybrid or talking to a soul, a being that look human like to you, but we come from other places. And we've been on the planet to help and to support. We've been patiently waiting to get to that point where finally the frequency can return. We can finally come to you with more teachings because you're more ready to receive it today.
Mm.
Will I surprise you if I say, Emily, that even to this day, sometimes I work with clients who tell me that they're afraid. They're afraid of me. They feel nervous around me.
Wow.
And I look a lot human. Imagine if I wasn't looking human.
Right.
But just because of the presence, even though there's an omnipresence about me, the presence of my Arcturian self is here. I simply took, so you can relate, we can relate to each other, we can work with each other, we can walk this journey with each other. And yet some people I still have fear,
Mm.
even to this day. But you're at a point where finally, especially there's been a rise into the Arcturian presence. That's because we knew at some point in the future timeline where we're now reaching that point now, where we'll be able to bring back more the essence, the radiance of who we are, our frequencies, to be able to support, to stabilize the organic timeline of reascension, or where we're shifting from a dualistic third base reality into a more unified fifth dimensional frequency, and then eventually moving beyond that. But we finally at that point, almost, we say we're almost right at that junction where we can come more and be more predominant and working more closely, more directly, because our frequencies will be more accepted
Mm.
and you become more receptive. Well, than 10 years ago, believe me, we're still not yet there. But now, 10 years later, here we are.
Yes, yes. I want to explore something a little bit deeper. I have heard you say multiple times about how critical it is to know who you truly are, which sounds like a simple thing on the surface, but as you mentioned, with all the programs that are present, it's like really stripping away the layers and the false frequencies. What advice do you have for those that are feeling that call to really get in touch deeper with who they truly are?
Well, knowing who you are, start with believing that there is more to you. So we're shifting, to heal and repair the core of worthiness, which is very much the essential. What happened is that because you take on an identity, my name is, I grew up there, this is my, and then you get very much entwined into taking on this identity. You accept the program, the belief system, the teaching for face value, then on the subconscious, there's a lot of patterning going on, a program take place. So you pull on this costume that says, this is my identity. This is what I can relate. This is what I can do. This is the limitation of what I can do. And then from there, I will navigate through a structure, through education, medical field, trainings, social to other kids. When you want to fit in, you want to be part of a tribe, you have to have friends so they can relate. And so what happened is that you build what we call a pseudo personality, like you build this extra layer of a personality that is very much earth-based related. So you can have friends, you can go out, you feel normal, you like to go Friday night with your friends or something to eat, or you went through school and you said you went to medical school or an engineer or an accountant, where you start to mold yourself to fit that box because this is the path you've chosen, and then they will dictate to you how to think, how to be, what is acceptable and it's not. I know because I work with pre-med students who are in medical school right now, and the thing that they tell them make my hair just spike on my head and going, really? They say that? Okay, let's just talk about it and let's decode what else there is. So the more you're allowing yourself to wear your identity like a loose garment, you're starting to realize what else is possible, what else there is about me. I know there's more to me, but that garment was very tight on me, would never let me have the space to breathe into it. So let's start to wear it loosely and rediscovering internally to your heart and ask to your higher self, I feel that there's an emergence in me. I want to be more of service. I feel I have those gifts. I can see colors. I'm sensitive to energy. I can see energy patterns. I see colors. What's going on? Show me, reveal to me more. But to do that, you have to accept that there's more to you that meets the eyes. So let's start to breathe and get a little bit looser about what you've learned. This is okay. This is what I've learned to the journey here so far. Now I've learned from that linear point. Now I'm going to go more onto a universal level. What can I learn that way versus what I've learned on a linear way? And start to ask a different question. Listen, no fear. Just listen to your light. Listen what else there is about myself. What else is possible about myself? And then start to realize that when you're going like this way, your guides, your higher self, the third eye start to open in ways that it just may surprise you. It can be also through dream state. Memories come, it's just a dream. I know that's been quantified as just a dream, a label. That's another way to dismiss that other part of ourselves. It's the astral plane. It's just as valid as this conversation is true and, relatable. Your dreams are a very important source of information, guidance. Is it your subconscious clearing itself? Are you connecting to your guides? Are you connecting more to your star families? Are you connecting more to your higher self? What what is the journey? Remember that at night you don't sleep, it's your body that sleeps. Your body needs to rejuvenate. That divine spark in you, no
Mm.
need for sleep. So you go out of body and you go explore beyond the mental mind, beyond the identity, beyond the earth plane. You go way beyond. So when you come back in, you go, oh, that was an intense dream, and you dismiss it. Listen, what was that about? Listen with your heart. Reveal to me more. I'm ready now. And ask and then release it. Let it go. Let it happen. Let it flow. Does that make more sense that way?
It does. And I absolutely love the analogy of wearing your personality as a loose garment. It's just allows for this breathing room and just to open up, your consciousness and expand to the possibilities. So I love that. I mean, Vivian, this has been such an incredible conversation, and I'm looking at the time, and it's just wild because it feels like we've been talking for just a few minutes. Would love to have you back on the show sometime because I feel there's so much more that I'd love to explore. Um, but I'd love to ask you, are you still doing private sessions, and how can listeners connect with you?
Thank you so much, Emily. I love your openness. Thank you for holding space with us. I know sometimes we feel we have a lot of great wisdom to share. And today I felt in my group we have chosen to navigate into more practical earth energy, but yet very elevated, supportive, and also with a hint of passion. We are very passionate, so to speak, about being of service and seeing every life, even the animals, thriving back to really who they are. It's something of the utmost importance to us. This is why when I speak, there's passion coming in. So thank you for allowing that to happen. I want to recognize you on
Oh,
that. Yeah.
thank you.
Oh, thank you. So to answer the question, um, I've been doing private sessions for from a public perspective, 11 years now, and I've done well over 22,000 private session alone. And so my schedule is completely full in terms of private session. I'm gearing more towards teaching. What we do offer is a monthly Arcturian holographic group healing, and it's a powerful 2 hours. And every month we shift the frequency, we incorporate another layers, whether it's the nervous system, whether it's the luminous nervous system, whether it's the consciousness, conscious work, lineage, timeline, starseed. We go in many ways. So everyone can sign up for the group healing. And we have an amazing online community. Right now, we are on the Patreon platform, but we'll be changing platform. But for now, we are on the platform of Patreon. And it's a beautiful, light-minded community. And we do have multiple membership and very affordable ones. And you get a lot of teachings, meditation. We have also private Zoom meeting with the members where we do planetary work, activation, readings. We offer also retreat for members only. And so there's so much that we do, and our community is expanding beautifully, and we are worldwide.
Mm.
And we also have what's called the Arcturian Healing Arts Program, which is a 3 month program online. It's it's a blend between teaching, activation, healing, and deep self-discovery. And each level, there's 3 levels, the multitude of session between, and the program we launched last year or whatever a year ago, and it's the response is just phenomenal. We want to move more into teaching you, helping you remember of your own faculties, reawakening your own way of healing and reaching balance, stability, opening your field, understanding who you are. So we feel that our work will be much more effective that way. And of course, everything is on my website, infinite healing from the stars.com. And I will say in January, the third weekend, we're having an in-person retreat in Sedona.
Amazing. Yeah. So many beautiful offerings. We will link to all of those. And Vivian, I just want to honor you for your service. You have such a deep path of service and love for supporting humanity at this critical time. So, so grateful for your energy, your presence, and all the wisdom that you shared.
Oh, thank you so much. Your light is beautiful, Emily, and always believe in yourself. It's been absolutely a joy and a privilege to be in your presence, and everyone who will be receiving the energy and of our messages. And they're really tools to supporting you, believing in yourself more, and open that key. Like let that master key open the door, and let's discover the treasure that you are within yourself, and imagine what more we can co-create even in 2024. And of course, it'll be a pleasure to be back, so we can continue.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that. Thank you so much.
You're
And thank
welcome.
you to everyone listening. So much love and gratitude.